want to get things situated.
See us counting down.
Oh yeah, I have that in a minute. Oops, I forgot that.
I'm having a problem with
lazy birds here. Oh, Beth, how's your aggressive rooster doing?
Okay, careful because this is being set live. I gotta. Here we go. We're gonna go. We're going with the countdown now. Where's the bumper? What's going on, everybody? We got ourselves a TV show, or rather a podcast that's working somewhat flawlessly. Hi, everybody, and I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. I'm Daryle Lamont Jenkins, and I am not going to be able to monitor this the way I wanted to because for some strange reason it's not showing up on my... So that's how I monitor, and it's just not letting me look at the thingamabob. Maybe I'll play with it in a little bit and figure it out. It just says, but everybody else is watching it, so that's what matters. I don't need to see it. I'm on it. So I'm Daryle Lamont Jenkins. So
I'm Beth Foster. I got it up, Daryle. I will keep an eye on things.
Excellent.
I'm Marina Brown, taking a break from splitting wood and going through dangerous hiking trails out here in the near Canadian New England.
And we shall, and I think everybody already knows what we're going to be talking about. everybody knows. I mean, I announced it anyway, but the truth of the matter is, you can't talk about anything but right now, and so we're gonna go ahead and just hit it. And I wanted to just start off. The first time I had ever saw Charlie Kirk, it was at, I can't remember whether or not I'm thinking it was the Philly DNC in 2016, and he was just playing like he was a carnival barker on the steps, and I was just mocking him and all of that, and basically these days, I mean, and I didn't know who he was. I think I knew that I knew that of Turning Point around that time, because I went to CPAC and I saw how it was overwhelming everything. And I didn't realize that he was the guy that was putting all of that together or anything. And as time went along, I pretty much obviously got to know him. I mean, I never saw him again, but you know, you see him on TV. He's all over the place right now. I mean, all over the place back then, and I mean, he was just a presence. Okay, fine. And he was a very negative presence, and I think that's missing in what people are saying on the news right now. And we're going to get to something that I want to address when it comes to that. But he was really, as far as I was concerned, not impressive to be feel about. I mean, you're talking about some rich kid that never had a real job in his life until Foster Freeze, this billionaire that gives money to Republicans, gave him some startup money, and this is what he built. And I have to say that I have to say this. A couple of years ago, I had said, I was on a podcast, and I had said something to the effect of, and they cut this out, and as well as they should have, but I said something to the effect of, we was going through all the things in this political climate, and the only thing that we really haven't seen yet was political. And we saw attacks in homes and things like that. Pelosi's, Mr. Pelosi. And, of course, we've seen the mass shootings here and there that might have been politically tinged. But we never really saw political assassinations or attempts to do that. And then we saw Trump. We saw that last summer, which, according to Jack Posobiec, at the TP USA conference that year, it was supposed to be White Boy Summer last year, White Boy Summer, and that was when Trump got shot, or rather, they shot at. One of the guys behind him, one of his supporters, got shot. He died. So we saw that. Then we saw in Pennsylvania somebody firebombed the governor's mansion, with them in there. Then we had in June of this year the politicians that were shot and killed in Minnesota, and there were nothing said really by anyone regarding the federal response. There was nothing no flags went down to half mast federally. I don't even know if Trump even mentioned it at all. But then September 10th, and we were all chilling out. We had a whole slate of things that we wanted to talk about today, and it got knocked over because we saw the rumors about Charlie Kirk getting shot, and first we had to make sure that wasn't a rumor. Then we was able to confirm, obviously, that he was shot. We didn't know how bad it was, but we did know he was in a hospital. And then we saw the video, and we knew he wasn't going to make it. When we saw how he got shot, so that's where we are today. And I'm going to tell you flat out, we're going to start by saying I have no love for Charlie. I'm not going to be nice about him. And if you have a problem with that, you may want to turn off the show, because we are not mainstream. We're not mainstream broadcasting. We don't have to be nice. We don't have to be nice. And to that point, I wanted to play something right quick before we start going into anything that Kirk said. But I want to play this piece right quick to explain, and I'm going to get something at the end of this. I'll explain.
Talk to me about the environment in which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about this. But following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's the unfortunate environment we're in.
Now, that was Matthew Dowd, and what you heard got him fired from MSNBC. He's the only one that I have heard go on national TV and not try to make Charlie Kirk look like a martyr or look like he was just a champion of debating and dialogue and that he's about free speech and all of that. He got to what was problematic about Charlie Kirk, and he got fired for it. And I just want to say, before I turn it over to Beth and Marina, I just want to say flat out that for the past couple of days, they have been the mainstream news basically have been lecturing us about free speech and how important it is to protect it. And they fired this man for using it in a way. And why? He is, and it's something. One of the reasons why I am definitely not going to play ball like that. But they tried to say that he made it sound as though Kirk deserved to be shot or whatever. No, he was telling everybody who he was, and people need to know who Charlie Kirk was and who his followers are. So I'm gonna let Beth and Marina talk. And so which one of y'all want to talk? Y'all muted.
If I can, I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been having discussions with people about what is happiness, what is virtue, and came up with a really old formula. Happiness is living the life of virtue in accordance with nature. Now, virtue would be doing the right thing. And our nature is that we are, as humans, we try to cooperate. We're not individuals. We swim in the mass of society. Now, you look at someone like Charlie Kirk, and he brings out all this stuff about his Christian virtues and stuff like that, but he spends much of his time attacking other people. Now, our nature is that we're a collaborative species, and he accuses LGBT people of being against nature or sinful because he's jumped on the Christian nationalist bandwagon. But the reality is, as a human being, he is far more unnatural than most regular everyday people who seem to be able to get along with other people are. He's spent his life demonizing people. He started out, being a conservatism, a libertarian type conservative. Then he moves to another camp, and now before he died, he was with the Christian nationalist camp, and he didn't have all that much good to say about faith when he started, but he saw which way the wind was blowing. So this shows you a little bit about this person's character. Now, I'm going to let other people talk, but I came on this show because I respect everyone here. Daryle is one of my favorite people, but the truth is, I don't care about Charlie Kirk. He is simply another opportunist who saw which way the wind was blowing, and he got on Donald Trump's coattails. He got on the coattails of these rich people. He got on Jerry Falwell's coattails. This was I mean, maybe I am wrong. I cannot see inside somebody else's mind, but from the outside, I just see a first-class opportunist. Maybe he wasn't. I can't judge what's inside his mind, but what I'm seeing is just he went where the wind blowed. Yeah. That doesn't say good things about him.
Beth?
My first thought when I saw what happened is live by the sword, die by the sword. He preached, he engaged in hate and violence, and when that's what your life is, that's going to be, that's the end. It seems like we're seeing more and more that we don't know what the shooter's motivations were right now, but that kind of hateful rhetoric was, it just comes back. It comes back on someone who engages in it. And that was my first thought. I teach a high school current events club, and that was fun this week. But we looked, just like we said here, there's the truth. And the truth was he was a horrible person. He said horrible things, and he targeted marginalized, vulnerable people. And so I just went through the quotes with his kids, with my kids in the current events club. He said, I don't believe in empathy. But now we are told we are supposed to have empathy, or, we're all required to grieve. And then the other thing is just the reaction that we are all expected to grieve. We're ordered to lower the flags. and there's so much happening right now. You know, that, like Marina said, like, I don't care about Charlie Kirk. I just gunned a man down in the street in Chicago. A school was shot up. Like, these were innocents. So those are my thoughts.
And a cop and that shooting, incidentally, that was in the same day as the shooting in Utah, and they was
Go ahead, Daryle.
yeah, there was a they did a moment of silence in Congress for him, for Charlie, and after that they Lauren Boebert suggested that everybody now say a silent prayer for him. At that point, Democrats started getting pissed off because they weren't doing that when it was about the kids that were getting shot in these shootings, and especially it was especially egregious when it was coming from Boebert, because there was just a shooting interstate and she wasn't even bringing it up. And then Luna, Representative Luna, got real pissed, cussed everybody out, and said, and blamed the Democrats for causing all of this. And she used to work with Charlie Kirk, so she was real pissed. But it got real loud because things are getting hot. Things are getting hot, and part of the reason why is because of people like Kirk, and I'm not missing them. I was if anybody knows One People's Project, when one of these bad people passes away, we give them the send off, basically saying rotten hell. We did that, but not in the title. We decided to play it cool, but in the article that we have coming up. But and this is one I'm going to show people exactly two things. I'm going to show two things of Charlie, and let everybody else. And we don't need to see everything, but these two things I want people to see, to know exactly who it is we're dealing with right now, or was dealing with.
I know so many amazing patriots in the great state of Texas, and I love Texas, that have been waiting and are willing for this moment. Deputize a citizen force. Put them on the border. Give them handcuffs. Get it done. Sure, that's dramatic. You know what's dramatic? The invasion of the country. We're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about how the other side has openly admitted that this is about bringing in voters that they want and they like, and honestly diminishing and decreasing white demographics in America.
Let's go to this. Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. Now, I don't like generalizations. Not every Jewish person believes that. But it is true, the Anti-Defamation League was part and parcel with Black Lives Matter. It is true that some of the largest financiers of left-wing anti-white causes have been Jewish Americans. They went all in on woke, and it wasn't just ADL. It was some of the top Jewish organizations in the country that have done that. In fact, we have seen this with the recent retreat of Jewish donations that are no longer going to be administered to colleges, right? Mark Rowan, Leon Kopperman. Can we get that full list? It's very powerful. The part of the so that's totally true. And by the way, Tucker Carlson reinforces this. So I'm going to it was quite a day on the internet. Tucker Carlson.
And you think about it, he is going after people and that have contributed more to life than he ever did. The only thing that he has going for him, or had going for him, is the fact that he was bankrolled to talk trash about people who are actually working to make sure that he has a better life. So, and somebody took that life. And the thing that we have to also look at is the fact that he left some people behind. No, I'm not talking about his family. I'm not talking about his family. I'm talking about the idiots out there who think like him. We still got to deal with them. And we got to remind them is that if this is going to be your hero, if this is going to be a martyr for you and somebody to look at as inspiration, we are going to have to just make it clear to them that it's not the greatest thing in the world to do. Right now on Twitter, there's a whole bunch of people that are posting TikTok videos threatening to fight everybody because of all of this. I mean, granted, I believe that a lot of that is simply going to stay the hell on TikTok and it's not going to go any further. But the fact remains that they are doing that. And it is still a matter of the, and we haven't even talked about this, the HBCUs are being threatened with bomb threats. There's a couple of them that were in the wake of all of this. And black people, incidentally, we're sitting there looking at, seeing them coming after black people, or rather, black institutions, and our attitude was like, we didn't have anything to do with this shit. and that speaks to how rent-free we are in the conservative mind. and I think we have to bear in mind that they're going to try to, I mean, Fox News was over there talking about how this is a war. Bannon was talking about it was a war. And let's be fair. They was talking like this before any of this happened. They're just using it as an excuse. So we have to be able to protect ourselves. We have to make sure that we do everything that we can to diminish the ability of these characters out there to function. That's our job. That's our business. That's why we do what we do. Anybody else want to come in? Anybody want to comment on that? I'm just thinking.
I mean, Charlie Kirk is so, I mean, in the bigger scale of things, all of us are kind of insignificant, but there are people who actually, you know, we can think of. I don't really have that much to think about him. He is just so unoriginal. You know, it's like, last show we talked about the Prairie Land people. Now that actually affects me. I mean, we already talked about this, and Daryle knows what I'm going to talk about. You know, I would like to bring this whole thing into the larger thing of colonial oppression and how we're being oppressed by this stuff. Now, this is the statement for the Prairie Land defendants. Now, I care about these people. I'm very close to people who are close to them. We stand in solidarity with the Prairie Land defendants as community members and pursuers of a better world. In supporting them, we do it with love for their humanity, grief for their confinement, and rage for the repression they faced. On July 4th, protesters gathered to make a display of noise and fireworks to express solidarity with immigrants and ICE detainees at the kidnapping facility, the Prairie Land Detention Center in Johnson County. In the early morning of July 5th, 10 DFW comrades were arrested. Since then, the other 7 defendants were arrested as a part of a wave of terrifying raids and surveillance. The state's narrative about what happened that night and the nights that followed is dubious and full of inconsistencies. This case matters because they're not only our loved ones and comrades facing horrific conditions in the Johnson County jail, but their incarceration represents a growing pattern of movement repression as ICE resistance amplifies, met with fascist government takeovers and ICE hiring incentives. Solidarity with those stolen from their communities is ever more needed to nourish a culture of care rather than a culture of cruelty. This case will almost certainly be used to justify sweeping expansion of repression, not only of popular movements, but all popular political activity in opposition to Trump and his regime. Authoritarianism can already be felt in everything from the U.S. arming the Gaza genocide to the building of cop cities all over the country. ICE fascism rips away the foundation of communities, spreading fear, distrust, and segregation, and criminalizes dissent. Communities are being destroyed by masked fascists every day and are in need of support and defense, just like the Prairie Land defendants, and everyone deprived of social ties and comforts due to systems of incarceration and displacement. Stand with the DFW Support Committee as they support the Prairie Land defendants, loving them through their separation from the world. We will spread the word of their struggle, help build legal defenses so our comrades can see a sky without walls or chains, and promote community events and actions to rebuild community support, which state repression seeks to destroy. Through it all, side by side, our community members and loved ones on the inside, we build a wall of resistance and resilience against states' efforts to dismantle our movements. Now that's a statement from the Prairie Land people who were on the previous thing.
And we are going to sign on to that. As One People's Project, we're going to sign on.
I mean, one of the things you have to think is when you have government repression, there's always a cost. How many people are dead because they didn't go to the hospital because they're afraid of ICE? How many people have neglected their medical needs? How many people have gone off the road trying to run from these masked thugs? Every little tweak of cruelty has a price in life and death. Now, all of us are going to die. You know, it's not a big tragedy when I die. It's just going to happen. And when Kirk dies, this is just not a tragedy. This is what will happen to us all. And I'm just appalled by people saying, you know, RFK Jr. saying that he was like one of the greatest voices of the century. He didn't have, Kirk didn't have a original thing to say in his life. I don't know if I did, but I know Kirk did. He's not as particularly courageous voice or original voice. You know, I don't know if he ever made his own songs or anything. You know, this is ridiculous.
I agree completely that he doesn't matter. And that I don't, and I was telling Daryle, like, there's several stories today I was sharing with Daryle about people who have had the violence of ICE directed at them that we have personal connections to. And those are the stories that matter. But on the other hand, it does matter because he just made the world more dangerous. This shooting made the world much more dangerous for a lot of people. You know, they immediately went after the trans people, the left, and the political repression and the attacks on marginalized people and on just people who have a different politics. They're going to use this to ramp up violence and oppression. Even if this guy turns out to have done what he did because he didn't think Charlie Kirk was conservative enough.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. This man, for lack of a better term, he died. His last words were to try to demean and defame the black people and the transgender community. And when you go out like that, then to hell with you. To hell with you. And that literally, if you're a Christian, to hell with you. You didn't have a chance to repent. And my attitude is, he will be forgotten. He will be forgotten. Think about how much we talked about Jesse Helms whenever he was around, and as soon as he was out of the picture, no one knows who he is today. And that's what's going to happen to hardly anybody talks about Rush Limbaugh, and he's gone. That's his fate, because he had nothing to give us, and that's the way we got to look at it. So, but we are going to stay on top of all those that are positively doing things, and we're going to move on from this character. I mean, there's probably going to be some more news as we go along, especially as we learn a little bit more about the person that they have now in custody. And you'll be able to see stories about it on Antifascism.com. And yeah, if we feel we need to talk about it here, we will. But we won't spend too much time on it because we don't need to. So, and like I said, I think we can rant. We said all we needed to say today. So we're going to bounce out. And before we go, I just want to let everybody know we are still trying to get to that magic number of 10,000. And if you can, please help out by going to this GoFundMe and just help us out as much as you can. If you can, find two people that can. And we are close. We have to come up with pretty much $3,000 before Halloween, really. So probably even less than that at this point, because I think some money came in today, just like $100 or something like that. But people are helping. But we also want people to just help us out getting things done around here. We got ourselves a mission here, and we want to see to it. And I know everybody appreciates the mission that we're on. So any help that you can give One People's Project, by all means do so. And we got some nice swag over on our in our shop, so go over there and check out. I'm about to mail some off to some folks now.
Subscribe to the Substack. Be a free subscriber if nothing else, and if you can, throw a little money into a subscription. Daryle decided we're not going to have a paywall because we believe this information needs to be accessible to everybody. But if you can be a paid subscriber, please do that. Help support One People's Project.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to know where One People's Project .com, OnePeoplesProject.com. We're also Idavox.com. That's our news line. You can go over there and see the news, the latest news. We'll have our Charlie Kirk article up at some point. And now my brother's calling me. So I don't know. Anybody has anything else that they want to say before we signed off?
Well, I think this whole thing is interesting because you see this whole fascist movement in the United States, this far-right movement, and there's all sorts of different factions. You know, there's a libertarian faction, there's a paleo-conservative faction, which is pretty close to the libertarian one. There's Christian nationalist, and then there's people who just think Trump is funny. And we see this Kirk person go through all of these different things, different strains of the MAGA movement as he finds which ways the wind is blowing. And if there's any takeaway, it's watch the different factions of the far-right movement, where they're going, what they're doing with this. Some of them will be quite happy that Kirk is gone, and some will be using him as a martyr. Watch. And it's a dangerous time. I mean, this is, as the historian, one of the historians on this podcast says, this might be similar to the Haymarket affair in the 1880s. So,
correct.
It could be very dangerous. I mean, it's everyone is using this to put their own political spin on it. The Democrats are trying to make it for gun safety, you know, the Republicans are trying to use it to victimize different minorities that they want to pin this on. It's, you know, everyone's got an angle on this, so it's important not to get sucked in by any of these angles.
Right. Everybody just got to be on the head. Just keep your head about yourself. As Wu-Tang said in the past, protect your neck. So until next week, we will see y'all later on. Thanks everybody for being on the show, and we'll have something new to get a kick out of. Alrighty, till next time. Peace, y'all.
Why do you think that you have the right to silence me?
I always said that I don't want to be heard, I want to be felt. I don't want to make my mark, I want to make my dent.
I didn't realize at the time that I was actually one of the biggest activists and largest organizers of white nationalism and alt-right in the United States.
They are what is considered by most people sort of your button-up white supremacists, your suit and tie Nazis.
Arguably, what they spew, while it's hateful and deplorable, is political speech, and so therefore it's protected under the Constitution.
Pat, why are you letting the fascists down here? You've got us blocked off, but you're letting the fascists come and harass us? We want them out of here now, damn it, or we're coming over the fucking barrier!
I can't walk in fear, and we don't walk in fear, you know. And I thank God for that.
Honestly, I wanted to make sure that when I left this earth, there would be something left behind that was worth a damn.